I can take a picture and it will still look like it was a still from a video. And I can take a picture and it looks like a painting.
Yeah.
So in the same way, my picture doesn't just look like one form of art.
Meet Iyke Ibeh, the multifaceted visual artist using photography to capture human expression in the cinematic style.
Hi, Ike.
Hello, Mimi.
Welcome to Design Discussions.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So nice to have you here. I'm really excited because I really like your work. You're one of the people who does stuff a little bit differently, and that's why I want us to discuss today.
Thank you.
So, who's Ike?
That question is really it's actually dynamic because there's plenty things.
Yeah.
Because Ike is a different person to different people.
Mm-hmm.
To a lot of people, I'm the photographer person. To a lot of people, I am the visual artist because I used to draw. And then I like to play with lights. I like films. So I'm just that person that plays with colors and lights and interacts with people.
Okay. So tell me a little story of how you got here. Like, what has been the journey? What brought you up to this point?
Okay, up to this point is everybody has an origin story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we like to tell ourselves that we're superheroes of some sorts.
Yeah.
And for me, for film and photography, I grew up in a background where there was not a lot of documentation. I can say from when I was born until university, I had like maybe 5 pictures.
Really? Do you have any?
I probably like 1 or 2.
Okay.
So because of that, I grew up and I also grew up watching a lot of films. And I was fascinated by colors.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by storylines and basically stories in general. And I wanted to be able to do that. So growing up, of course, I really love for pictures, love for photography, love for storytelling, acting, in a way like that.
Yeah. So do you dabble in all these different things?
Not in the acting part, but
Okay.
in directing,
Okay.
in the filmmaking and photography.
And did you have any kind of formal education in the arts, or has it all been self-taught?
Technically, I would say nobody is fully self-taught. Because even if you say you are self-taught, but you watch the YouTube video, somebody taught you indirectly.
Yeah.
So yes, there's the personal training, and then there's the courses and classes and schools as well for you.
How did that process go? Did you just find the things online? Or?
Yes, I live on the internet. So the internet has been an amazing resource from YouTube to general research, from web pages, blogs, and all of that. But I think for me, learning was more practical in terms of physical. I made friends with a lot of photographers.
Okay.
So we did there was a lot of collaboration back in the day, where with photographers we learn something and we practice with each other.
Yeah.
So that helped, and of course having people you look up to and then finding out their processes and their methods and then just trying to replicate.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So I've done a bit of stalking you on the internet, and I see that you refer to yourself as visual artist, right? Which is not something that a lot of photographers say. Like, a lot of photographers define themselves by maybe their type of photography, like portrait photography or nature or whatever it is. But you have a niche you call yourself a visual artist. Why is that?
Because visual art it's not a very difficult thing to express. Okay. Visual art is just arts in the visual form.
Yeah.
It means what you can see.
Yeah.
And what you can see is basically light and color.
Yeah.
That's how I can see you, because there's light and there's color. And as a photographer, I still play with light and colors.
Yeah.
And my style of photography is towards cinematic, which is also film. So I can take a picture and it will still look like it was a still from a video. And I can take a picture and it will look like a painting.
Yeah.
So in the same way, my picture doesn't just look like one form of art. Yeah. It could look like a lot of forms. It's blended. And I always like to mix different elements in my work.
So to get into that kind of style, is there some kind of technicality behind that? Like, do you need to research movies and really delve into how movies are produced and stuff? Since I'm talking about the cinematic style.
Most of it is based off of your passion. You have to like it first. And then once you're liking something, you see that you're drawing naturally to that thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, research helps. Because if you like something, you would want to know about that something. And then you will look for people that do that something that you like and figure out how they do it.
Okay. Because I do notice that when I go through your pictures, it's not just like, oh, look, I took a picture. Some of them actually evoke an emotion. Like, there's a mood, there's an emotion, there's a sense of place. There's a feeling behind it. So is that, I don't know, is that innate or is it something that you train yourself to do?
I think it happens naturally.
Okay.
So the theme of my photography is exploring human individuality. And it means most of my images will not necessarily be glamorous because I'm just photographing people in their most as they are in their most natural form.
Yeah.
So the style I use is very intimate, where it just focuses on the person. So it will affect the lighting, it will affect the mood of the images. So they're usually always sad or always happy. It's just the person, the character of the person is what shows up in the image at that particular time.
Sounds very interesting. What would you say has been your favorite project so far?
Favorite project?
Very hard one.
One of my favorite work is a personal project that I started. I've still not finished. I made different series of it. It's called Earthing.
Earthing.
Yeah, it's basically a description of how we are connected to the Earth, how we look like the Earth. We have relations to like trees, to like leaves, to like down to like the actual Earth and all of that.
And do you have a worst project?
Worst project would probably most likely be a client's work. Not necessarily because it wasn't something I was interested in particularly. I mean, I'm interested in everything I do, but there are some projects that don't turn out the way you want them to turn out, mostly because of clash of interests, clash of ideas, and maybe change of ideas, last minute things. And
do you find that quite often? Like, does that happen?
Thankfully, no, because most of my projects are pretty controlled or pretty scripted and planned. So we leave room for errors, but then there's still cover-ups.
How come most of your projects are scripted and planned? Are most of your projects like self-led, or do you actually get client projects that?
I really love client projects. No, thankfully, during our journey, we've gotten to the point where clients will meet us and say, we want you to create something for us. So bring up something.
And they give you?
Yeah, give me the free will to be as creative as I want to. Then there are clients that they have what they want and then ask for my input and they will make it better.
Yeah. So who do you prefer? Do you prefer a client that comes and says, you know what, like giving you a blank slate, do whatever you want, or do you prefer someone that has a strong vision of what they want and this is how they expect you to execute it?
I think there's more pressure when the client says I should do everything.
There's more pressure when you have a blank slate.
Yeah,
really? I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, because you now have to think of, will this impress this person? How do I properly translate this person's idea that is in your head, not in their head? But if they have something they already want to do, you've already seen the vision, there's already a vision. All you have to do is play into it. They're creating the vision and start scripting and everything.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I mean,
it's like people that work in 9 to 5. Yeah. You just know that there's work to do and you just do it. That being an entrepreneur and then you're creating the work and all that.
And what about like collaborations? Like there's definitely the client side, but being a photographer, you're dealing with people from in the same industry with you, whether it's makeup artists, creative directors. Off the top of my head, I'm just thinking about if you're Nigerian. I don't know if you've done a lot of weddings or if you like to do weddings, but if you're Nigerian, you've definitely had the Nigerian photographer. You've had the scenario where the bride is getting ready and Mopsy is shouting, "You should hurry up! The pastor is waiting," and the makeup artist won't just finish her work, and you get to take like 1.5 pictures before they leave for church. Like, I don't know. Do you have issues when it comes to collaborating on a project that is not completely within your control?
For those kind of things, I usually like to find out who is in charge of the project. If I'm collaborating let me use a wedding project, for example. So I see wedding projects as documentary work. So my job is to document what happens. So if people are fighting, I document what happens. If there are people coming you do a wedding where makeup artist finished her makeup and she wants to shoot a film. I take a picture of what happened because that's what happened. Because in the end, your images are the memories of what happened. If there are images of that, it didn't happen. And sometimes your client needs to remember that all of these things happen because that's what made up the event. So of course, I always try to insist on, okay, give me a little time for myself, but I would also make sure I document what happens. For other forms of projects, if everybody knows their roles and where they are playing, you will know how this person's one can fit in yours. For example, I recently did a project for a hotel where I wasn't exactly in charge, but there was a video person that wanted to just shoot all the time, and I realized I could shoot while he's shooting. It means I don't have to bring a separate set of lights. I could just shoot the same lights he's using. And if he's shooting at an angle, I can shoot at a different angle. And since I'm shooting pictures, I'm more flexible to move around him. So that made it work, and we collaborated properly.
So, like, if everybody knows their role, then teamwork is just easier.
It becomes more efficient, yes.
When you were talking about weddings being a place that you see weddings as documentaries, that you just document what happens. I started to think about the way photography was, say, 30 years ago, when the professional photographers at the time were photographers in the sense of this is what they did for a job, but they weren't professional in the sense of the pictures wouldn't come out so edited way just because there wasn't that software and all that right now. But then there's a certain like life to those photos, because as you was talking, that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about my parents' wedding photos, my grandparents' burial photos. Those pictures were actually of what was happening. It wasn't things that were staged. It wasn't, the overly produced pictures that we have today. Do you what do you think about that? Like,
So I have conversations about this
Yeah.
for with a lot of photographers and even with clients. So if you want to get wedding clients, I discuss with them. I tell them I'm not going to script your wedding
okay,
because I've had complaints from clients. I say they shot the video at the wedding, but 10 years after, all they remember is what the photographer told them to do, how he told them to eat, how he told them to dance, how he told them to do this, and that's all they remember in their wedding, the photographer. Which is true, which is also sad. Because the pictures come out awesome for Instagram, for social media, basically to sell the photographer. But you don't get memories, true memories of your events because everything is scripted. And I always tell photographers, the parts of photography in weddings are just the order of photographs. That's where you are in program. So be as invisible as you can for the rest of the events. So just document everything. So that's what I do. I document what happens. And then of course I know I traditionally like to take portraits. So I take those portraits. But everything else I just document what I see. So it gives it more reality, it gives it more trueness, it gives more emotions. And then telling the bride, always smile. When she needs to maybe frown at something or laugh and be human.
But do you find that maybe that in this day and age reduces your clientele, like the amount of clientele that you have, or maybe it just brings you the people that vibe with that?
Yes and no. Or yes for both. Yes, because I've had a client that came to me once and said, hope my picture will be on Bella Nigeria. Basically because she was expecting to have scripted images that can, show up as highlights on some famous blog. And there are clients like that. And we don't reject those clients. I'll tell them, we can do what you want. But I rather do what I want to do a better job for you. But there are some clients that want that. And of course, you have to deliver what your client wants. But of course, the clients that we always love are the clients that say, okay, just document my wedding. It's a wedding, and we just document and do. Because no two weddings are the same. You might not shoot from the same hotel, it might not wear the same dress, it might not be the same church, it might not be the same lighting environment, and all of that. So you can't look at exactly what they see online. So we have to create a unique situation for a new client. So that's how it works.
Okay, so and has anybody turned you away, like, or have you turned anybody away first of all, like, if they're insistent on how scripted it needs to be, like it needs to be top notch, everything needs to be scripted to the T? Are you just like, this is not for me?
I think I've had like 2 or more clients that have that. But what I do for them is I tell them, please script it, but make sure you script it including the time, because weddings are very unpredictable. If you say you want to script your wedding, you keep to time. Because if you say pickup is going to be from 6 to 7, do pickup from 6 to 7. The pictures will be from 8 to 9. Make sure I am available. Or make sure it's just me that's taking pictures from 8 to 9. Don't have somebody come to drag that time with me. As long as I will go with the script if you keep the time. Because most of the time it doesn't ever work.
It never works.
So, as much as they demand it, I'm like, make sure you keep the time. It's your script, so get somebody to make sure. Because once there is a time frame, I will work with the time frame. And just make sure it's there. So it's easier if you have the time, I'll work with it.
Okay, that's good. You talked before about honing your craft with other photographers. Do you have like people in the industry that you feel are mentors or that have influenced your art? Because this is what you do is quite niche.
There's obviously a lot. The ones not in Nigeria, the ones in Nigeria. Abroad, off the top of my head, I can say Chris Knight. Chris Knight is a photographer I admire because I like his editorial style of images. He shoots with one light, or he shoots dramatic cinematic images. And I like those kind of images. I like Wong for his creativity. Wong is an artist. I mean, he used to be a miner. Before, yeah, he woke up one day or one night, we were looking at the sky and I'm like, I want to take pictures. Like, he's one of the biggest photographers in the world. Like, literally one of the biggest photographers in the world. And I love his work and I love his creativity. He's hardworking. His bio used to be, I take pictures with the take after the shot. Because he's one of those people that go the extra mile. He has shot everywhere. He has shot underwater with sharks. He has shot on an active volcano. He has shot on cliffs, like literal things that he does. So if you want to call I got it to you, you can copy his work. But if you copy his work, you'll be like, okay, you are hardworking to try it. Then Nigerian photographers are a lot. From BKH that I admire a lot to Emmanuel Iyke to Kelechi Amadobi. Then there are like a ton of them. For my friends, Kelly Green, there are a ton of them. That their images, I can't forget him because I worked with him and he's really amazing. He's creative. His style is awesome. Now there are a lot of them that old and new. You know how somebody take a picture? I wish I took that picture because they take really great images and Now, the good thing of photography now is that everybody's good now.
Mm.
There are a lot of really great people out there, and you see work and you're like, okay, I like this person's style. And there are a lot of photographers that take pictures that evoke emotions. And I feel like for me, photography for me is images that are worth remembering. The reason I'm taking a picture is because I want to remember that moment. So if I can see a picture and it can evoke a moment, then I feel like that picture has done a good job.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a sad emotion. It could be a dance. It could be a portrait of somebody wearing a wedding dress or a ballet dress or something. It's just something that okay, you can remember what that image is doing for you.
Yeah. Okay. And I like to ask you this question as someone who does architectural photography. I find it so easy to take pictures of buildings because they're in one place, they don't move. And I do the moving, so I can see the building from any angle that I want to. It stays. It's not that it stays the same, but it stays in the same place, and it changes with light and with the sun goes up, the sun goes down, or the seasons change, and that gives the dynamism to architectural photography. I feel like taking pictures of people is so difficult because like they don't stay in one place. And like you say, there's different emotions. There's being extremely happy or sad or neutral. Do you ever take pictures and it's just like I'm not getting it, like I'm not getting any emotion or I'm not getting what I want to get from this?
Thankfully, in Nigeria, everybody's a general contractor. It means we do a lot of things.
Yes.
So I've shot a lot of architectural work and products and all of those stuff, which is amazing, like you said, because it's in a controlled environment. Nothing is moving. What you see is what you get. But photographing humans are not as much, or not the same, because you're working with human emotions that can change. So, but for me, what I did, I first learned photography as still life photography, shooting inanimate objects before I decided, what, I can't shoot with 3 unless there's a person next to you. So I started
You're like, this is too boring.
Yeah, so I had to focus on shooting humans.
Yeah.
I learned that what I expect should be what my muse is giving me. So I try not to put an emotion for what I'm photographing. I photograph the emotion that whoever I'm shooting is giving me instead.
You don't impose any expectation.
Yeah, I don't impose any expectation. Of course, you might have one in your head you want to try later on, but that shouldn't be what you want.
Yeah.
It works for me like when I'm posing clients. Not everybody is used to folding their hands. So if you're used to a folding pose you want to do, you can't do it for everybody. You tell them to be comfortable first. And then you see that, okay, maybe this person prefers to put his hand in his pocket than putting their hands and folding them, doing all those poses. So I let them give me what they have before I try to input what I want.
I remember that when you took my maternity pictures, like you just kept saying like just relax, just be calm. It was like whatever you're giving me, that's what I'm going to take. And I'm used to photographers like move your head, go up, go down, do like this, and it was just a breath of fresh air to have somebody like just chill and let's see where this takes us. Next question, and a big one, is AI coming for your job? Is AI coming for photography? Because right now there's 1,000,001 AI apps that all you have to do is like take whatever picture of yourself and type it in and be like, oh, turn this into a headshot or make me look like I'm in a cafe in Paris. Like there's a million possibilities that happen under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Can you keep up with that?
The beautiful thing about AI, and I love AI, is AI for me, like now, I use AI in a different way.
Okay.
Like I use AI to create mood boards for when I want to do a shoot, for when I want to do a project. So it's like creating the shoot before the shoot, so that the people you're working with can see a visual representation of what you want to recreate. For me, it works better than sketching, because I can actually create real images of down to the color outfits and everything, down to hair. I'm like, okay, this is the hair I want. This is instead of using Pinterest to get what
I was going to say, because I, as an architectural designer, use Pinterest all day long. So, do you find it easier to use Pinterest?
Yeah, I love Pinterest. I will still use Pinterest. But the thing with Pinterest is you can just get different things and they work. But with AI, you can literally use the same model and create different scenes, and everything will be uniform. For example, if I want to shoot, say, somebody in the forest wearing a red dress with a kitana, how many Pinterest pictures will you find that person with that exact outfit, with that exact hair, where you can create exactly down to the T what you want to hear as a mood board for me. And then I use AI to practice, say, lighting. And the way AI works, especially if you use like Midjourney and all of those things, for photographers, you can say, create an image with Rembrandt lighting using the style of this famous photographer. Like if you know exactly what you want, maybe use a certain camera, use a certain focal length.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Once you describe exactly what you want, you can use a headshot using this, that. AI will give you exactly that. So I can use that and know, okay, this is what I'll get if I use so and so.
Yeah.
So it's like the practices for me and it helps me take away all the plenty trial and error and just know, okay, if I use this lens and use this light setup, this is exactly what I get, and then I do it.
Okay. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah. I understand how scary AI can be, but I understand that if you utilize it as a tool, then it just increases your efficiency. With things that you had to do over 6 hours, you can literally do it in an hour or two. So,
I also don't mind that people use AI for shortcuts, to get headshots instead of paying for photos. I feel like it makes it efficient. For example, when photography came, we didn't take away painters.
Okay.
In fact, painters became more sought after.
Really?
Yeah. A painter would charge more now for painting the portraits than before, where everybody were painters and it was easier to just get a portrait of you painted. Now, if you want a portrait, you have to pay.
Okay.
I mean, you can take the picture now, but if you want to have it painted, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
So the same thing with AI. AI will not come and take away the job of photographers.
Yeah.
In fact, it means for now, there are a lot of photographers that will be more exclusive because AI will not give you emotions as much as a real photographer would, or a photographer that specializes in maybe portrait photography will give you. So I think for me, AI is making my work easier because I can charge more and say I'm giving you a specialized work that you will not get anywhere else, and then you're getting my brand.
Yeah. So I think probably what people should take from it is that in the age of AI, you need to hone your craft a little bit more, so that you are now more sought after because your work is more niche than it was before.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Winding down, what would you say to Iyke of 10 years ago, knowing what you know now, came back where you were 2014? What would you say to yourself?
What I was saying to myself 10 years ago is to start early.
Okay.
I know that there are a lot of projects I would have done, and I did not do because I didn't think what I had could work at the time. And then it was when I now had probably a better camera, and I realized I could do that with a lesser camera.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have really good equipment now, but sometimes I would borrow somebody's lower camera or lower gear, and I'm like, oh, this could work. I'm like, I could have just used this before to start. And then an advice I'll tell my earlier self is take more risk and take less risk at the same time. So basically calculate your risk and make and the same thing as doing more collaborations and doing less collaborations. Basically be more specific intentional about the collaborations you do. Because I know starting up I did too many collaborations that did not benefit me. I was doing a lot of shoots. I wasn't doing teamwork. I was just shooting. I mean, it's good to shoot to practice, but sometimes you need to early in your career know what your end goal is. If you know, some people, I learned photography because I was just in love with taking pictures and creating stories. But I didn't know what I wanted. So after a couple of years, I said, okay, this is what. But it helps if starting up, you know what you want, and then you move towards that goal so you're more precise than just being all over the place.
Well, is there a way that you would have known what you wanted without having started?
Yeah, it's passion.
It's because like, you kind I feel like you kind of find out what you want by trying all this.
By trying.
Everything.
Of course. Yeah. It's like when someone asks you what's your favorite type of movies and you say comedies, you already know that's what you like. Because you've watched a couple of movies and you know this is what you want to be watching. It's the same thing with photography. Yeah. But once you see different kind of images, you can tell the one you're drawn to the most. So you already know this is what I want to do as you're starting. Yeah. Yes, it's good to practice. I mean, most people think I'm a fashion photographer because I shot a lot of fashion work.
Really?
So I shot a lot of fashion work. In fact, last year I shot more buildings than people.
Really?
I did a lot more still images, a lot more inanimate stuff than humans. Yeah. So I have a lot of work from fashion work, from shooting houses, to shooting products, and all of those stuff. But then I will not call myself a wedding photographer per se, even though I shoot amazing wedding pictures. But that's why I use visual artists, even though technically I'm more of a portrait photographer. But I will shoot all of those things still in the style of a portrait photographer. Yeah. That's why I like photographers like BK. He's a portrait photographer. He's a fine art and portrait photographer. Even though he shoots a lot of weddings, even though he even shoots fashions and does a lot of stuff, he'll still shoot all of those in his portrait style. So that is where I'm headed towards.
That's amazing. What advice would you give someone who say, came into your DMs and was like, I love what you do, this is exactly what I want to be doing?
The same advice I would tell myself starting out, just start. If you like a particular style, just start and then research how that style is done. The good thing with shooting with light is you can tell where the light is coming from, how many lights. It's just the practice. You won't fail when you practice. Failure to me is not doing it. Yeah. Because if you don't do it, that's when you fail. But once you do it, if you don't get what you're aiming, you've done it, so that was not failure. So just do it. Yeah. Basically what Nike said.
Just before I ask you the final question, I love to ask everybody this one thing. If time and money were no constraint, what would you be doing right now? And you cannot say photography because a lot of people are just like, I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
I would probably be an archaeologist.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Tell me more.
So I've always been interested in travel and research. So all of that with my love for antiques and stories and all of those. Archaeology is one of those things I know that I would always explore in terms of taking on hikes and exploring things and researching origins of stuff. So I mean, I did study geography as my first degree, and archaeology was like would have been the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have also been in NASA. I would have been on space stations. So because exploring the stars and planets and solar systems and knowing how the Earth works and all of that. So that's where I would have been if I was doing photography.
Interesting. I really like that. That's a very diverse answer. Thank you for that. Just lastly, what does the future hold for Iyke?
So for me, for the future is the goal is to own a gallery at the end, and of course to train other photographers to create an environment where it's easier to learn, it's easier to practice, it's easier to create a business out of it. Especially if you're passionate of the work, if you're passionate in photography, in visual arts. And visual arts could be in film, in design, in illustration, in dance, anything that your imagination can think about. So the goal is to create a platform for not just for myself, but for other people.
Okay. So you're interested in actually training people and bringing up the younger generation of photographers. That's amazing. Maybe we'll do that. So thank you so much. Enjoyed this a lot. Can you tell us where to find you on the interwebs?
On the internet, like you said, it's Iyke Ibeh everywhere, or the Iyke Ibeh on every social media.
The Iyke Ibeh, as in?
Yes, THEIYKE. So that's me personally on every social media.
Okay.
Then my portfolio pages are Iyke Ibeh.
Okay. I will put it up right here. Alright. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this discussion.
Thank you.
It was lots of fun. And is he running? Testing. Design discussions.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sure.
Cut.
If you enjoyed this design discussion and would like to see more, please subscribe, like, and share.